guys, I thought I'd give you a little bit of a treat today. I was going through my manuscript of my first book here, and I decided to pick two of my favorite little scenes and share them with you. I have shared these on my blog, at least one, I believe, and I thought I would read them to you if you do not read my blog and you are just a watcher of my video, and see what you guys think. I will also have the links below to my blog and the first entry of the 30-day writing challenge that I have given myself is up and running, and so the link to that is below. It's also on, I've been linking it on my Twitter page and my Facebook. And the link to the Fiction Press page that contains the second draft of my novel. At least 23 out of 25 chapters are completed and posted in my second draft. I'm still kind of wrestling with chapter 24 because there are some details I have to work out, but I'm getting there, and that should be up hopefully soon. And then I just have to post the last chapter and be done with it. And then I just have to wait for feedback and print it off and start editing and working on draft number 3. In the meantime, this little folded up beauty here is the very rough outline of book number 2 that I am preparing now to get ready for November NaNoWriMo. And I'm hoping to make this my second November victory in a row. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I am confident. I'm really working on getting a very detailed outline out there. And maybe if the ideas are flowing and I'm motivated enough, which I am at this moment, I can start outlining maybe book 3 just to get it done. And then that can be started around April Camp NaNoWriMo. If you haven't guessed, I tend to focus my writing of a new project around NaNoWriMo because it's a structured event with a time limit and a word goal, and I've done it once, and in November, and I did the 2 camps in April and July and succeeded in both, so I'm fairly confident that I can get myself in that disciplined mentality and bust it out one more time, and possibly every other time I have to write a novel. And this time I will not be losing my flash drive. And if I did lose my flash drive, I wouldn't cry too much, because I have been backing it up on my computer and sending it to myself so I can put it on my tablet and my phone, and my beta reader has chapters sent to her, and it's also on Fiction Press, so I think I'm pretty well set. And I also make sure that I have hard copies of every single draft. So let's get down to it, and I'm going to read you the scenes that I wanted to share with you. Now, to give a little bit of a background in this first scene takes place in the first chapter, which is, I believe, my longest chapter actually, because it's a lot of introduction to the character and some of the world. And so this last scene in the chapter is an introduction to the villain. And he has been spying on my character, Tara, as she prepares to move 3 hours away from home to a small town where her grandmother lives. And she's going to spend the summer with Grandma and then start school in the little college that is near that town, or that is in that town. So, here we go. The screen clicked off, and he stood in a darkened study of his mansion. His eyes glowed in the dim light in an inhuman manner, which was appropriate, since he wasn't human. He merely looked like one. It was easier to blend in, even though he was capable of taking any form he pleased, provided it had a heartbeat. He was busy contemplating the scenes he had just witnessed when a soft sigh diverted his attention. Turning, his expression softened as a woman all but floated into the room. She was dressed in a long, deep blue nightgown. Her hair was dark, loose, long, and flowing. Her skin was ghostly pale. She gave him a small smile as he wrapped his arms around her gently, as if he might fall apart if he held her any tighter. "You should be resting, beautiful," he whispered in her ear. "I know," she said, reaching a slender hand out to caress his cheek. "But I wanted to see the girl. Is she coming?" "Tomorrow," he said, taking her by the arm and leading her from the study and down the hall. "She doesn't seem to be much of a threat. Our plan will go on, and you will have your strength back in no time, my love." "Good," she sighed, swaying slightly. The short walk had already exhausted her. "I'm bored in this miserable old house." "We'll go anywhere you like the minute you're well," he promised, lifting her in his arms. He carried her into a lavish bedroom and laid her on the bed. Paris?" she asked him with a smile. He chuckled. "Sure." He kissed her and turned to go, but he reached for his hand. "Stay with me," she pleaded. Her hands were like ice, and she looked like a frail little girl rather than the mighty sorceress he knew her to be. "All right," he said, smiling. He crawled in beside her. He could not say no to her, especially when she was like this. She snuggled close and rested her head on his chest as he pulled the covers around them both, and he watched her fall asleep. So that was my first scene, and that was probably the first favorite scene that I ever had when I wrote it back in my original draft. So so far it's pretty much the same as it was. And it might stay. Okay. And this one is further on in the story, a lot later. Kind of in the middle-ish. And it's between my main character, Tara, and a young man named Henry, whom she's kind of gone out with a couple times. And they are talking together for the first time after a week or so, I think, of absence, and she's not happy with him. "How are you feeling?" he asked. "Better," said Tara, trying to sound indifferent. "You? Better?" Awkward pause. "Look, I'm sorry. I wanted to come see you the next day, but my mom and my aunt were driving me crazy. They still think I'm 8, not 18. "That's family for you," said Tara, with a smirk. "Gran made me stay home all that time. I had to fight to go back to work. And you must think I'm a complete creep after the way we said goodbye last time." He smiled when she turned red. Tara's heart skipped a beat as he moved closer and took her hand. Gray eyes met green as he whispered, "Did you think I forgot about our first kiss?" Now her heart really raced. It was like it was pounding in her throat, making it impossible to speak. He leaned in closer. She closed her eyes and felt his hand wrap around her waist. His fingers traveled slowly up her body, sending goosebumps up and down her spine. He pulled her closer and used his other arm to pull her arm around him. He ran a finger down her cheek, causing her to shudder. When she opened her eyes, their faces were barely an inch apart. Her eyes were locked on his, and she felt like she would drown in them. "Henry." Nothing else came out of her mouth because it was suddenly occupied in a kiss. She tightened her arm around him just so she could stand on legs that were quickly turning to rubber. Let me know what you guys think. I will have, like I said, I've got all the links down below in the thingy. and I really hope to get some feedback from you guys, because that's really going to help in my editing process. The faster you send me feedback, the faster I can get it completely edited and published and printed and on bookstore shelves or Amazon ebook form, which is, I'm planning on doing both, if you, for whatever you prefer. And then you guys can look out for book number 2, which I will be beginning in November, as I've said before. So have a good night, everybody. Please send me feedback on those 2 scenes and everything that you read in the links below. And thank you guys for watching so much. I appreciate it. And I really enjoy making these videos for you guys and sharing my passion for writing. So thank you a million times. Thank you.